And we're back with Mystic Fix. We're talking to astrologers today. We just heard from Catherine Rankovic tell us about wedding and engagement astrology and lore. And now we're going to talk with Eric Rosen about what's coming up in our futures. Hello, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You bet. You bet. I'll give you your quick bio here. Eric Rosen is an astrologer, an intuitive coach, and a #1 international best-selling co-author in Shift with Intention and Soar, a guide to manifesting your best life. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, so you wanted to talk about manifesting with confidence and passion.
Yes, absolutely. This is a golden time for that right now. We're in a lot of Taurus energy, which is really great for manifestation.
Mm-hmm. And so how does astrology, I mean, most of my spiritual friends know about manifesting and just putting your mind on what you're going for and attracting it, drawing the energies to you. I think a lot of us get that, maybe some better than others, but how does astrology play a role in it?
Yeah, I think astrology really showcases the cycles, the divine timing of like when it's a good influential time to manifest certain things. As you mentioned on the previous segment, it's like, we do, of course, have free will to go in whatever direction that we want, but we can look at the cosmos, we can look at astrology as like, oh, okay, like this actually is a really good time to take those steps, build things brick by brick, the manifestation of the best things in life that we want.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And how do astrology dates feed into this?
Yeah. So even here, just in early June, I mean, we're looking at, again, that brick by brick process. Hopefully, people are already building something really positive in their life already. But I think Venus coming into Leo is actually going to be really profound, because that's an opportunity to really step into more of the radical expression of what's to be expressed as a manifestation.
So I know of Venus as like love and the goddess of love and beauty, and eroticism is in there.
Yes.
And then Leo is that fiery, powerful,
Right.
I think of even kind of ego. So those two together, like, whoa.
Yeah, it's intense. Absolutely.
So this will affect everyone, or just people?
Yeah. I know sometimes when people hear about a certain zodiac sign, they think maybe that only affects them, but there still is that collective astrology, how it's influencing, all of us at the same time, regardless of you have any, planets even in Leo in your natal chart.
So what is going on right now? Like, we're recording this toward Memorial Day weekend, and my goodness, everybody I know is in a lot of drama right now. Kind of strange times. Is there something happening?
Yeah. I think a lot of this definitely is another thing. We're seeing Pluto. It's in Aquarius at the moment, although it's actually going to go into Capricorn once again. I think that produces a lot of like fear and panic and, maybe even borderline excitement for some people, because this is a place that we've never been before. This is a place in the world and just collectively and how people are connecting with one another and those relationships. We're just not used to it. It's just such an unknown element that I think when you go into this new territory and there's not a lot of structure on how we relate to one another, that can cause a little bit of friction and drama, because we're all kind of figuring out what's the new way to communicate and connect in the world.
Yeah. So what can you tell us about the next couple of months?
Yeah. So I definitely think that, among the opportunities, of course, to manifest and do things with that radical courage, I think a lot of people sometimes want to know too, like, what's my purpose? A lot of people have talked about what's my purpose, like, why am I here? So I would say, going into these next few months, especially after June 11th, like, that's a great opportunity to kind of go back in and uncover some more of that information. I think a lot of us have already been, sort of pondering that or looking at that already, but I think it's just another chance to go, okay, how can I bring that courage of my manifestations of what I want to express, but also not just pick something that's like, oh, this feels kind of good, but it's like, what's like the best thing? What's that best, like, trophy moment of like what you feel like you came here to do. Like it's your passion.
So June 11th.
June
It's
11th.
gonna be a
And
key date.
yeah. Anything really after June 11th for the rest of the year is really good for digging back down into like that purpose element of things.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's interesting. So it's a time for careers mainly, right?
Yeah. You can look at it absolutely for career as well,
I
because
guess people have different ideas of what
sure.
purpose means.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because you can certainly align, both of those things and make your career, your job, your business, in alignment with your purpose. And sometimes they can be two different things, right? Like sometimes purpose can look more like a hobby or something that maybe even people don't even know you for or see you for. Like it's still something that you can still make a shift into.
Yeah. So my tarot card client, their number one question is love.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an auspicious date for love?
Yeah, there is actually. So retrogrades. So people sometimes hear that in astrology. A retrograde is really just like a review period. It's you're sort of reaping what you sow, and so Venus is actually going to go into a retrograde in Leo, so this is all very dealing much with love and romance, and so that's going to be more towards the end of July, and it's going to last all the way through August and until I think September 3rd is when it finally ends.
And what does that mean?
So basically the seeds that people are planting right now, like in romance, like what they're doing, like how's their communication, are they, really embodying the romantic vibes? Are they having courage to express themselves, their wants, their needs? When it goes retrograde, it's sort of like you're getting the fruits of the labor of like what you put into it. It's just this like very karmic time. So it can be like a payoff in a way for people that are like putting in the work, into either manifesting a partnership if they're not in one, or if they're currently in one, the more that they're putting the positivity, they're embodying their value systems or their love languages, things like that in the partnership, the better that can pay off with either, feeling a deeper sense of connection in the partnership, or even a money situation to even support the abundance of the love that's being created there.
Cool. So, Eric, you talk about how you've been on a spiritual journey of awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you share that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So the spiritual awakening for me was in 2018. I had just started studying astrology. I was reading a really great book that I would highly recommend to the spiritually curious called Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiadians. And I started experiencing these synchronistic events in my life that I couldn't really explain. And I was definitely on a soul search. My health wasn't really great at the time. So I was, willing to uncover any stone that I could find. And so going into the spiritual realms, that fascination, that curiosity led me to astrology, going on kind of like a sacred pilgrimage, if you will, to Peru. And then once I just started having these experiences of just my intuition was developing, I was starting to notice things and see things differently. Then it turned into talking to other people that kind of spoke that same language, like community. And that's when it was like, oh, okay, like these experiences that I'm having, they're valid. Like I'm not crazy, because we were having similar experiences.
It's amazing that as we get to certain points in our spirituality, we attract our partners. When I met you, when we were both doing a psychic fair, and it was like, yeah, Eric gets it.
There was the jive, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We just had the same vibe. And
right.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about some of your projects. So let's talk about them. What are you doing right now beyond astrology?
Sure, absolutely. A lot of great stuff going on in the background. I'd say that the primary one that would be accessible to anybody in any area, because it's going to be online. I'm actually starting to develop in the background a manifesting money group based on astrology. So people will get an actual astrology reading, but we'll also do some group coaching like through that to help people with any of their, money blocks or money beliefs, just general manifestation. Like what is it that you're wanting to create in your life? So that's one of the ones that I'm the most excited about.
Cool.
Yeah. But I've got a few fairs coming up. Those will be in various places. I'll be up in Chicago June 3rd and June 4th at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo. The same name on June 10th and 11th down in Tampa. And then more towards the end of the month in June, I'll be in Des Moines, Iowa, doing an astrology gallery, which is basically just kind of teaching people a little bit about what astrology is, but then also being able to give mini readings to people that want to raise their hand and volunteer in the crowd.
So are you more of a coach or a teacher?
Yeah, I tend to. I got my hand in so many honeypots. You know, it's a little bit of both. I do intuitive coaching, but you know, teaching is also something that I do too, to just put out that knowledge, that wisdom to people to help them on their journey. And then if they want to go deeper into more a personal setting, of course, they can do coaching with me.
Great. And so in our last couple of minutes here, how would you steer someone, if they have an interest in astrology, but they don't really know the first thing about it, or how they might work with you, or, what would you tell the newbie?
Yeah, I would say, people can always go to my website. It's astrology by B-Y, Eric, E-R-I-C, Rosen, ROSEN.com, and just kind of start to see some of the stuff I'm putting out, sign up for the newsletter, check out my social media links there, and just see the kind of stuff that I'm putting out and see if someone, appreciates my energy and the things that I'm showing up and sharing. But if someone was just like wanting to, connect with me, they can always schedule like a free 15-minute discovery session to talk one-on-one, just to share what's going on with their journey. If they're just like wanting to get, into astrology, and they're just like, hey, how do I get started? Well, I mean, there's a few different ways. Number one, I always encourage people just to go research it. Like, I think sometimes people want like the perfect system or the perfect school, but when I learned astrology, it was the most fun I ever had in my life, so it was a curriculum, but I think there's a sense of joy and curiosity, kind of like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole in Wonderland, sort of exploring things and just that magical curiosity. But if someone prefers a more formal course, I do have an online course. It's an astrology school, so that takes people all the way through the basics of astrology, all the way how to read not just a natal chart, but also how current astrology is impacting their natal chart, their birth chart as well, for those cycles.
That's something, if I ever find, an extra several hours.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'd be interested. Astrology is a big part of the tarot. And it's maybe one of the components of the tarot that I have not learned. I mean, I know a couple little things, like the moon card is affiliated with the sign of Cancer, and some of these things, I'll as I've learned them, I'll use it in my readings, but I really don't have that solid astrological background. And in fact, I've turned to Catherine here, our earlier guest, to ask her about some things, and she's given me some corrections.
Sure.
So yeah, there's a lot to learn, and I admire that at such a young age that you are so competent.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Is there any other thing you'd just like to address?
Just what comes up as I'm reflecting on the star card theme of the show, I just think that's so appropriate. I think with this manifestation process that was brought up today, and just sort of building your life, and there's a deep sense of faith, a deep sense of trust. I always see the star card as like that hope, that renewal that comes, after the Tower card, right? In tarot, of like, what if it feels like life wasn't working out or something came tumbling down. And so this can be a time of uncertainty, I think, for people, but it's just like the trust. It's like you put the seed in the soil, and then you till it, you water it, like you take all the steps to like grow, create, manifest your life, metaphorically speaking, whatever it is. So whether it's a job, a relationship, a money situation, a project, it's like, don't give up. Like, don't give up. Don't be pessimistic and fall for fears or, things that happened that were disappointing in the past. It's just believe, have that faith that it's going to blossom, the plant's going to grow, it's going to work out.
Wonderful. Yeah, the star card's about dreams coming true.
Yeah.
One more time, how can they reach you?
Yeah, it's Astrology by ericrosen.com. So that's Astrology, B-Y, Eric is E-R-I-C, and then Rosen, ROSEN.com.
Okay, and I see you've also got links to free meditations and astrology.
Yeah. So yeah, when people, if they sign up for the free newsletter, they put their email in there, they'll get that stuff sent to them.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah,
Stay
thank you,
tuned
Julia.
for tarot card readings in the next segment. We'll be right back.